Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Dan.
How are you?
Fantastic.
Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday. And today we're going to be talking about sales tax. Yay! I think in terms of topics that accountants hate, inventory, then sales tax.
And they're kind of connected too.
Would you say, well, you got inventory, payroll, sales tax. Those are probably the trifecta of things that
you used to get calls about. And now,
send accountants running for the hills, right? Like, forget it, I'm out.
And pro advisors, if you focus on this, you can get a lot of gigs. So,
right.
Good to know.
Right. So, what are your thoughts about sales tax? Like when because typically I spent about 6 years or so in point of sale support at Intuit. So, inventory and sales tax are things that retailers are not going to run away from. They have to, they do have to live there, and that's a requirement, right? I mean, they gotta fill out those things, collect the sales tax and remit it, and that's a very important part of their business, is being in compliance when it comes to sales tax.
Right. And with sales tax, our go-to is let's recommend a third-party product, which is fine when it's complicated. But retail, if it's just one place because you have to charge sales tax for your, sales on site, it's not that hard to set up. But if it's not set up right, then you have high drama around it. So we've had to figure out ways to fix it.
Right. And typically it's a misunderstanding about sales tax when it comes to a business owner, right?
Yeah.
Because they pay sales tax, and so money going out must be an expense.
No.
Not an expense, right?
No.
So, that's typically one of the first educational points when it comes to sales tax. That's a liability, right? Because I think I may have already mentioned this story. I used to have a friend. Well, she's still a friend, but she used to work at the Arizona Department of Revenue, and so she had to reconcile millions and millions of dollars of sales tax coming in every month. Businesses had to come in and remit their sales tax payments, and inevitably, one business owner would say, "I can't afford to pay sales tax." and that's the expression that she would give. Like, what are you doing spending the state's money? Right.
Well, if they were smart enough to collect it, hopefully they did, and kept it out of their checkbook and didn't spend it.
Right.
And what people don't realize is if you set up the workflow right, you can actually make money by doing it. By sending it in on time, you get a little income, a minor income. It's better than nothing.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that's the challenge with some business owners is recognizing, because there's really three components when it comes to sales tax. What are you selling? Who are you selling? Yeah. Well, who are you selling it? Well, what are you selling is whether it's taxable or not, right? Who are you selling it to? Are they taxable or not?
Mm-hmm.
And where did you sell it?
Where were you?
Right. Where were you when you sold it? And those three things can cause an infinite number of
unavoidable drama.
Right. Because but that's what it boils down to is what did I sell, who did I sell it to, and where did I sell it? E-commerce opens up a whole thing because of the whole where did I sell it, right?
Fair.
Because I sold it from my business, but I delivered it to someone in Hawaii. So am I subject to sales tax in Hawaii? Well, I don't know. That's up to the business owner to know that, or someone who's consulting with them. So that becomes part of the challenge and why people get running for the hills with setting up sales tax, because if you've set up sales tax inside of QuickBooks, you'll realize that you need to know how to set up, the requirements in how to set it up.
Or you need to understand the rules and then convert that to the setup, and then you're good to go.
Right.
And be ready to adjust too, because what if the sales tax comes back and says, guess what? It's no longer 7%, it's 8%. You have to know how to edit and update as needed.
Right.
And pay and adjust for those income.
Right. And maybe if they do maybe if they do their taxes themselves, they get an accounting credit. What do you do with that? Right. So, 2% or whatever it boils down to be, as far as, a credit is concerned. Yeah. But, we're not going to talk about any of that today because we don't have enough time, to go through each of these situations. What we're going to talk about today is a common situation that happens when it comes down to sales tax is incorrectly paying the sales tax, and then how do you fix it?
Yes.
Because as we talked last week, there is a special check that's recorded inside of QuickBooks called a sales tax payment that has a special functionality tied to it.
It's designed to help you, and like undeposited funds, if you don't do it right,
yes,
it's nasty.
Well, and then that causes a source of confusion in and of itself, because everything now is electronic. So they go on to the state's website, they remit their sales tax payment. That wasn't a check to begin with, right? So it's not a real check. They're not writing a check. They're not sending a check. They're paying it with a credit card. They're paying it with a ACH, bank transfer, wire, whatever it is that they want to call it. But again, to QuickBooks, it's a check, right? So it's money leaving an account, whatever that happens to be. So it needs to be a sales tax
recorded entry in your bank account. And the other thing that is really important to set up right is so that you get those reports, because the states, you can't just make up numbers. You have to tell them what your numbers are.
Can't just willy-nilly just put numbers down on paper.
You don't just say, oh, $1,000 and just jam the number in. You have to know the sales that back it up. Your taxable and your non-taxable, your total,
right,
how much you kept back, all these calculations. QuickBooks is designed to help, but you have to set it up right. That sounds like a broken record.
It's not a tribute, like, here's state legislature.
Here, read this book.
Here is my offering. Please don't.
18,000 pages long.
Please don't penalize me.
Yeah.
So let me share my screen here. I could have done that while you were talking.
Aha.
Okay, so
we see an island.
I know,
some
Catalina
water.
Island.
Okay.
There we go. Whoop. Over to this side. Okay, so sales tax in Desktop centers entirely around one account called sales tax payable. So if I go into the chart of accounts, there is an account. Where'd it go? Well, thankfully I can search for sales tax payable. There it is. Right, so it's got one account. Everything flows through it. Online, totally different situation. So don't
keep that in the back of your mind. Cat and dog.
So everything goes through sales tax payable, right? So when I go to vendors and sales tax and go to pay sales tax, so this is the sample company. So there's a lot of future dated transactions. So I'm going to just
time travel.
Yep,
it's fun.
So I'm just going to put it to the end of December 2025, and there's all of the what I owe to these various vendors. So you can see there's different vendors set up. So there's some of it goes to the City of East Bay Shore, and then State Board of Equalization gets the rest.
Oh, they get a lot. The poor Bay Shore, they only get 29 cents.
Yeah, a paltry, paltry amount. So the way to pay sales tax is to check off the amount that's owed and create, it puts in the amount that's paid. And then when they click OK, then that creates the sales tax payment. Right. But what people do is they look at this report going, vendors and payables, my sales tax liability report, run it for the same time period, December 31st. Same amount here, that 1161.53, and they'll go, I must write a check for $1,100. So they'll do that. They'll go, thank you.
Banking, write check.
Checks. State Board of Equalization, because that's who I said it to. Now we know 29 cents of that was supposed to go to the city of East Bay Shore, right? But well, what do we do then? We put it to sales tax payable. Oops, that's sales orders.
Oh, fun.
Work with me here.
It's that numbering thing.
There we go.
There you go.
All right. Now,
it even warns them.
It even warns them. It says the account you're choosing is for sales tax liability account. If you're trying to pay sales tax, use pay sales tax window instead. Recording this check transaction will not be considered a payment against any sales tax owed.
But people hit the don't show me this and hit OK.
Right, because they're
annoyed. They want this to go away.
What's the they're conditioned. That's the word I'm looking for. They're conditioned just, this
like
is just a warning.
Get that out of the way.
Exactly. But this is what QuickBooks Desktop calls a one-time message. So if you have this option to not display in this future, it will do just that. It will never.
It will not come back, and you can continue to make your mistakes.
And that's something that is on, company-wide. So if somebody has ignored it, then everybody has ignored it. So if you have one user that's ignored it, at least I think that's the way it works, but I have to test it out.
Who knows? It seems like they keep coming up for me. Maybe I'm too scared to say yes. Go away.
I forgot the amount of the sales tax.
1163.29 or something? 53. 1161.53.
Okay. That 153.
Yep.
And this is my sales tax payment, right? So this is what I'm doing. And I'll put it into January because normally people don't pay ahead of their sales tax. They do this afterwards. Right? So we're now in 2026.
Wow, I hope it's a good year because this one's not good so far.
Yeah. So now I look at my report again. I think it'll probably be
sales tax liability.
Right. This they'll run it, as whatever day they want. Oh, look, I don't know anything. Hooray!
Oh, so
right. Or they'll look at their chart of accounts or their balance sheet, and they'll see that the balance is zero. Yay! I've paid my sales tax.
Good. I'm good to go.
But when you go back to paid sales tax,
it's still building and accruing.
Right.
Oh, it's real ugly.
Yeah, it's a nasty thing. Right. Now they don't even see that credit, even though it's
they do if you take it to January.
Right. Well, no, it's here. It's here.
Oh, there it is.
But look, you can't readjust the size of this window to see more than 3 lines.
Just get bigger glasses.
That credit that's sitting down here, that's to the State Board of Equalization, is
zeroes it out.
Zero it out. And they're like, why do I know nothing? Well, okay, well then I have to pay again. Well, this is where the confusion starts to happen, right? I mean, they just keep continuing this process of just entering in a check to sales tax payable because they're paying sales tax. It makes sense, right?
Yep.
So how do you stop this madness? Well, one is education, to know that, okay, you got to go to pay your sales tax through pay sales tax, right? So
That's the
that's a
workflow.
function, right? And if you
Yes.
need to adjust the sales tax, you can do that all from here. So anything sales tax related is
Do it in
doing it from
there.
here. Of course, taking a step back and making sure they set up their sales tax properly, the right rates are in there, that sort of thing. But how do you fix these transactions that have been paid month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year, the wrong way, right? And then
Ew.
you've done a good job and reconciled the bank account, so those checks are reconciled.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What you would want to do is unreconcile.
The best way to do is
delete and re-enter
unreconcile.
it the right way, right? Well,
But
that means you have to re-reconcile months and months of bank accounts.
that's my preferred way, but that's the most time-consuming, unbillable way possible.
Right. There actually is an easy button.
There what?
There is an easy button for this, and it's under your accounting tools.
But you're in, yeah. Okay.
So we have this. Where to go? Fix incorrectly recorded sales tax.
Okay.
Right. Oh, look.
There's a lot.
There's a few. This was in 2006, 26. So let me. They even set it up wrong in the sample company just for these purposes. So there's our check. There's our check of 1163. All we have to do is click it, and you'll see what it'll do down here. This function will void the selected regular check and replace them with sales tax checks. Check
Fancy.
check numbers, dates, and cleared status will be retained.
Yippee!
Right? So that's all you have to do is find it, void and replace, and it's done. And it says that one transaction totaling 1161.53 will be voided and replaced with a sales tax check. Proceed.
Wow. Okay, so how do we can check it by trying to pay it again and see if it's clear.
Go to vendors and pay your sales tax again next month.
I know there's all kind of new drama in there.
There is.
For the 29 cents?
Right. Yeah, that 29 cents is rearing its ugly head. So you would have to, check these off. The next time that you go to pay sales tax, just check them all off. They net to zero, and then it'll apply the credits to it. You can't create a $0 sales tax check. But now if we look at our report, did I close it? Nope, I did not. Our report looks a whole lot better. Let me go in here. Where is it? When did I do it?
The last day.
Who was paying attention?
Me.
There it is. So now your sales tax payment, now it actually is a sales tax payment check, right? Instead of being a check, it actually does the sales tax payment. That's okay. That's why it did it. That's why I gave it a credit, because it put it all to San Tomas.
Yes, and why did it do that, Dan?
Good question.
Yeah, so it's a neat.
It does well. I mean, it'll work. You just need to apply those credits
to the right spot.
To the right spot, and the next time that you create the check. But so if you have a simple sales tax issue where it's just sales tax payable and one sales tax item, that's easy. It'll just even out. But if you got multiple checks like that, it will give credits where credits may or may not be due. So you just need to bear that in mind. But it turns it into a real sales tax payable check, sales tax payment. So now you're off and running. You don't have to redo all your reconciliations for the past years of cleanup work. So it just makes it a lot simpler to move forward when you're doing that in desktop. Online, not so much.
You want to hear what I do? Oh, maybe that will work
Nope.
for online.
Go ahead.
So what I do, So what I do is I create a bank account called clearing account, and I point all those bad checks in the expense account to a clearing account, and then I run the sales tax properly and use the checking account clearing account. Reconcile to zero.
That's not a bad idea either.
That keeps the integrity in place.
Now, to make things more confusing, there are two sales tax centers in QuickBooks Online. You could have the old one, quote unquote, the old one, or the new one. What we're looking at here, this is a sample company for QuickBooks Online. So, of course, it wants everything new. So this is the new sales tax. This takes a little bit of the bite out of sales tax when you're working with QuickBooks Online, because it does a lot of the automated calculations for you. So who you're selling it to, what you sold, and where you sold it will be done for you. So you don't necessarily have to know all of that stuff. But it could cause some confusion when you sold something out of California into Arizona and it's charging you Arizona's rate as opposed to California.
Oh.
Because that's what should happen, right? That's what should happen, because it's where you sold it.
Right.
Now, if the person in Arizona came to California and bought it out of your store, then that's where you sold it, right? Where did it actually exchange money and that sort of thing? So, and then of course, California is a whole nother ball of wax with when you sell something inside the state and deliver it to somewhere else. It's a destination to and from. That can be even more confusing. But if I haven't made your head explode yet with sales tax. All right. So the same situation exists in online. The only way to make a sales tax payment is to actually, in the new center, is go and record a payment, right? So if you're in the old center, there'll just be a button that says make a sales tax payment. You make a sales tax payment and you're done, right?
That does a return, or at least gives you, and then you can see the liability report.
Right. So the print, so you can file it, but you print the tax form from you use this to fill it out. Is really,
gotcha.
It's not necessarily filing the form for you.
Got it. It's just holding your hand a little more.
Yeah, I'm just going to record a tax payment of $10 when checking. So when I go into the register, that account or that transaction is very simple looking, right? So I did it out of a checking account, right? You're paying attention. There it is. You know, here in the transaction type, sales tax payment. It's not a check. It's not an expense. Cash perch. Right. So when I edit it, it's not much you can do with editing. Oh, did it even let me edit?
It just rolled you on down to the next line. Meow. There's the cat.
Right. Is it broken? Okay. Yeah, it wasn't letting me go in. See,
then you totally froze.
Yeah. It still won't let me edit it. Come on.
You can't do anything.
Yeah, you can't do anything except delete it. When it's I want to see it, but okay. Well, imagine if you will. That's all it shows is the payment date, the pay amount. There's nothing you can do to edit a sales tax payment when it's recorded. But the same thing will happen when you have a incorrectly recorded sales tax payment. You'll have somebody writing a check to the to the tax agency, and they'll go to the sales tax payable account or the accounts payable or sales tax payable account for the vendor, because that's how QuickBooks Online handles sales taxes, by creating sales tax payable accounts for each vendor. So you have to delete those checks. Unfortunately, that's the only way to actually make a sales tax payment, is by making a sales tax payment that way. So there's not a find and fix tool like there is in QuickBooks Desktop. Now, before I got kicked off, I noticed that there was a question in our Facebook comments. Is there an option for payroll? And we'll talk about how we correct that in next week's workshop. But the short answer is there's not a tool like that where it will void the check when they've incorrectly paid payroll liabilities that way. Creating a check. But we'll show that how you do that. How to fix it in when it's payroll checks created that way, payroll liability or tax payments in QuickBooks.
I have lots of helpful tips and tricks on that.
Right.
Having cleaned up a lot.
So that's how you go about finding and fixing sales tax payments that were recorded incorrectly. So hopefully.
So in QBO, basically, the answer is you got to delete and do over.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So you
undo those bank recs. It's not forgiving. It's the cat dog theory. You want to go over that again?
But what you can do is you can re-reconcile them in the register. You don't have to go through and undo your reconciliations. If all you're doing is just deleting and replacing, you can go into the register and mark it as cleared, and you're done. Of course, this will warn you.
Yeah, because that's dangerous.
But again, you have this tempting.
No, never.
This warning again.
Never, do not show, no matter what.
And QuickBooks Online doesn't let you bring these things back, like Desktop does.
Once they're gone, they're gone. You can bring them back in Desktop, right?
Right. You can bring back your one-time messages.
Thank goodness. We are dangerous. We're click happy.
Right.
That's why we have viruses and stuff, because we're like, yes, sure. Here's my social security number.
How many Nigerian princes are there? It's a lot, and they want to send me money.
Sure. You need my date of birth and my Credit Karma login? Here you go.
All right. But you can reconcile transactions directly in the register and maintain the stability of your reconciliation.
Credibility or integrity.
Right.
All those fancy words with the itties on them.
Exactly. But you can do that directly in the register and not have to undo reconciliations like that. So that's a bonus. But the unbonus, is that a word?
There's no fancy tool to do it like it just
There's
did.
no find and fix. Mm-hmm. So next week we'll talk about how we find and fix incorrect payroll checks that were paid the liabilities that were paid incorrectly with payrolls in Desktop and QuickBooks Online. So hopefully we'll see you next on another hopefully stable stable workshop.
We need to put a GoFundMe for your internet. I'm just kidding.
It's funny. It's like right around 10:30. The internet goes out, and I don't know whether it's my
kids. If
modem
the kids are in school or are the kids home?
Yeah,
they're back in school.
Are at school. Yeah.
Oh well, there goes that theory. Because when the lockdown first started, we were noticing it when the kids would log in for school, our internet would start to go down.
Oh. Yeah. So they may still be doing something at internet. Maybe it's recess, and they're all just going online and playing games.
Could be. What
happened to kickball?
It's always a pandemic kind of reason. That's all I have to say.
Yes, blame it on the COVID.
There you go.
All right, so we will see you next time on another Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by schoolofbookkeeping.com. And stay safe and have a great week.
Yep. See you next week.